All right. Hello? Oh, whatever.
Properties. Yep, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay. Can you still hear me, Mike? All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Musky Talk Mondays. Let me mute
Little
this.
Musky Madness?
Little Musky Madness on Musky Talk Mondays with Mike Koepp. All right.
Happy to be here.
Well, greetings, Mike. Happy to have you on the show, man.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
So first off, Southern Wisconsin opener this Saturday. Okay. I take it you're heading out, right?
Yeah, we're all just itching to get out, especially after doing this walleyes for tomorrow or hatchery. We just finished up with that Sunday, so that's all done, out of the way. 3.3 million walleye back in Pewaukee Lake in fry. So now we're all fired up to go up after some real fish.
I hear you in that one. Oh, we're definitely going to get to the walleyes for tomorrow and everything, and go over that in a little bit more detail, a little bit broad overview, and see what's happening over there. But first,
Sure.
Biggest question: springtime Pewaukee. Does it produce a lot of fish for you?
Yeah, springtime can be really, really good. Now, it all depends on when the spawn actually is. Typically, what happens is the muskies are spawning just finishing up right on opening weekend. That's basically what usually happens. This year, they actually came in a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
So they're pretty much done. You can find a few stragglers. I talked to a couple buddies of mine that saw a couple of them paired up down by his pier on the west end.
Okay.
But you can pretty much count on the east end, and everything else pretty much spawned. We're in the post-spawn, so, don't bang your head against the wall if you don't have good action opening weekend, because you're right in that kind of slow time.
Okay.
But you got opening weekend. They're not used to people. They're not used to lures. They're not used to anything, so they're a little dumb. So I think we're going to have a good opener. I really do.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm pretty excited about this opener in particular. I mean, Joel over at Dave's Legacies gave a pretty good seminar last week.
You bet.
And that got me fired up. I was still iffy about hitting Pewaukee for opening day, but that and talking to everyone there and then talking to everyone at Mistake on a Lake, I'm fired up to actually go out and hit Pewaukee.
Yeah, the one thing I always tell people, it's awesome to be all fired up and stuff, but don't go balls to the walls and get all burnt out. I see it every year. 2 weeks into the season, people are getting burned out. They're all sunburned and tired, and the lake just starts turning on, and they're kind of, you're still going, but, typically the first 2 weeks of the season is always slow. If you could catch 10 muskies in the month of May, yeah. I'm not saying fish it every single day, but the average guy, not the average, but the average good stick that gets out there, 4 or 5 times a week, if you can boat 10 muskies the month of May, yeah. That's a good month of May. It really is. Typically you'll get 1 or 2. Opening weekend, I've had 4 different times where I've caught doubles on suckers at the same time. One time we actually caught 3. Wow. 3 muskies all at the same time, all in the boat at the same time. Netted 2 at once and 1 right before when we had another one on. So, you can do it. We've had days on the western half of the lake where me and Joel Michael fished. We had 55 muskies up and caught 5 in a day and a half.
What?
Now that was actually, but every single fish was under 35 inches.
Yeah, that's
so, what we're doing, but what we did is, we fished all the opening day and then a half a day the second day because it was, it's kind of, we go against the Illinois guys and have a little tournament every opening weekend. We got a little tournament, so we did that. And what we did is we targeted the really aggressive males. They were actually still spawning, so they were shallow and they were with the females. Little minnow baits really, really erratically twitched, and they were just coming unglued. We had multiple hits we didn't catch, but little minnow baits, very erratic. But the key to being very erratic and still catching them is the pause. Mm-hmm. You have to pause the bait. Okay. That's when they smoke it. It's like erratic, pause, switch, pause, and then go back into erratic. And then when you pause again, they'll smoke it.
Perfect.
So,
that actually leads me to my next question that I have. Live bait springtime. That's a producer. You do it. Is that?
It's very good. Very, very, very good. Now, the biggest thing people got to get, into their stubborn heads is don't buy suckers for the fish you wish to catch. Mm-hmm. Everyone buys a King Kong, then they find a couple smaller ones. You could catch big muskies on little suckers. And if you just go with 6-inch, 7-inch suckers, don't go any bigger than 8. You can. Now, if you go to Okachi or Conomowoc, that's an exception. Yeah. There you step it up a little bit. But Pewaukee typically, little suckers, and set them on a quick strike rig, set them either on a slip bobber setup behind the boat, and definitely have one sitting right over to the side of the boat where you're bringing your baits in. Okay. I usually run 2, sometimes 3 suckers. I've caught fish. I remember one year we caught a 44-incher. We never saw the fish. We went through, we casted the whole area, we beat it up really good. I knew there was fish there. I saw them there the day before. This was like a Monday or a Tuesday after opening weekend. I knew there was fish there still. Went through there, had a sucker on a slip bobber probably 30 feet behind the boat. Then gets ripped, bring it in, a beautiful 44-incher. Wow. But if we weren't running live bait, would have never saw that fish. Okay. And the triple we had 3 suckers out. All 3 got hit. And it's not like, we're in a penned-up area where there's a ton of them. No. You're in a prime little spawning area, a little spot on the spot, and you move through it very slow, throwing erratic middle baits and stuff, and, the fish get fired up, and all it takes is one to eat it, and then the other one's, he's all fired up, and what happened was the male ate, the female ate, and then the other male, he was felt left out, and he smoked one while we were catching the other 2. So it was just
that's too funny.
Something else. I mean, I think I got 3 or 4 doubles on my website, me and my brother Greg. The only time he musky fishes is opening weekend with me. And, we've had 3, I know 3 for sure, I think 4 doubles where we had 2 fish on at the same time.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you go through areas, there's spots on the spots. We've all heard about spots on the spots.
Yep.
Little spawning areas, I mean, they could be big areas. Take the West End, for example.
Okay.
If you're standing on the launch and you're looking east, to the right is the best spawning area. It's all peat moss and marsh in there.
Yep. But
to the left, there's a little bit of where the piers are to the left,
yep.
It's shallower there. It's about a foot shallower. And then once you get out and around that and get on the other side of it, like where Musky Bills used to be, and then down into that northwest corner, there's really good spawning going on in there, too. A lot of guys overlook that spot, but that spot can really produce. There's some good cabbage in there. And basically what you want to do is target the shoreline out, and then once the fish start getting pressured, just move back to the first weeds, because that's what the fish will do. They'll be in that 3-4 feet of water, and once they get pressured by too many boats, people in their casting and stuff, they just slide into the nearest cover. You can still catch them, but, you don't want to be right on top of them. What I tell people is, you don't know the lake real good, go through and work an area that's really good, okay? Work the areas like, the marsh area and, all the spawning areas, and then turn around and come straight back where you just did, but cast the outside and bring the bait in. That way your lures are actually landing into weed edges and on the weeds where the fish are, and you're pulling the bait out into the open, and they run it down. Because they're lazy in the spring. They want an easy meal.
Yeah.
Or you have someone in the boat, it's so hard to not cast toward shore in the spring.
It is.
But, you always call it, take a cast off the north side. Wherever you are in the boat, if you cast to the outside of the boat, nickname is the north side. So don't ever worry about, not casting that way. Sorry about his phone call beeping in, but
no, it's all right.
He'll be all right.
They'll live.
Yeah. Mark must have heard me mention his name.
Oh, boy.
He's the one that saw the muskies paired up on shore last week.
Oh, yeah? That's cool.
So, well, they don't all spawn at once. We had that good warm spell. The water temp went up to 56, 57 degrees, and then within a day and a half, it dropped down to 53, and it's been holding 52.3 to 53.2 right there, depending on how cold the nights are, because we've had the wagon, and I've been watching the temperature every day, because we got to log it.
Yeah.
So we took a hit. And I think a lot of the muskies, not a lot, but the ones that didn't finish spawning, they pulled back.
Okay.
And then they're kind of like, all right, yeah, I got to get in. The weather ain't right, but I got to get this done.
So you think you're pretty confident most of the muskies are pretty much done with the spawn and are into their spawn?
Oh, without a doubt. Because when we first started running nuts, we catch northerns and no muskies. Yep. And then after about 3 days, we started getting a good warm-up.
Yep. And
then all of a sudden we get 2 muskies. The next day we got 3 muskies, and the next day we had 17. No, 19, because we had 17. I had 16 in 2 nets.
Wow.
And we had so many muskies in 2 different nets that we pulled the nets and moved to a different part of the lake, because the last thing we want to do is target fish other than walleyes. Yeah. If we're not getting the walleyes in the nets, we move them. Yeah, we don't want to bother any fish. There's not really a natural reproduction of muskies, but still, we don't want to bother them. They are where they are. Let them be. And then you're not going to get a bunch of walleyes where there's a bunch of muskies. No. It just don't happen. No. Rocky Point, for example. Rocky Point, you'd think you would hammer the walleyes on Rocky Point. Nice shelf, everything. Yeah. We never caught a walleye on Rocky Point.
Okay.
Fair enough. On either side of Rocky Point, we got them, but
not right on the point.
Target area. There's certain areas where the muskies and the big fish actually feed and survive, and they own it. And the walleyes know to stay away.
Yeah, they know.
It's funny how that works, but year after year of netting, you start seeing this pattern year after year after year, and gets you a lot smarter where you should target the muskies. You can leave out a few areas.
So I got a question about the walleyes, and we're going to get into the other half of the broadcast. First half's going to be with muskies about you, and then you do the walleyes. So Adam, hold on to that.
Sure. All right.
So for springtime live baiting, I haven't really done a lot of that, but you're saying, like 6-inch suckers or, red-tailed chubs probably, right? I mean, they'll work.
6 to 8. Okay. Go to 6 to 8 inch suckers. Don't be afraid to use an 8-incher if it's a skinny one. I'm just saying, when you go in the tank and you grab a sucker that you can't wrap your hands around it, not that you can't catch fish on them, and every lake's different.
Yeah.
But,
you said Oconomowoc and Okachi. It's a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, you'll catch more fish on a 7-inch sucker than you will a bigger one. And here's the other thing. If you run bigger suckers, you got to run bigger hooks.
Yeah.
Okay? If you got small hooks on a big sucker, that muskie clamps down, there's a good chance that he doesn't even have he might have the hook in his mouth, but it's not even touching his mouth. It could be in between.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I did very well out of all the years and did better. And I run quick strike hooks. I hook one in the mouth and one on either side of the dorsal fin. I'll put one forward of the dorsal fin and one back. So I got one little tiny treble hook. Instead of using a rubber band, I take a tiny treble hook. I take it off lures that I swap hooks on, and I put that hook right below the nostrils. I just dig it into the top, like basically the base of the lips where they meet the bone of the sucker.
Yeah.
Basically go right in there. So that little treble hook, now I got a way to catch, and I've caught them. I mean, multiple fish I've caught on that front little hook. But you got to be careful. It's not like fall where you're running big hooks and you're running weights to get them down.
Yep.
You're running light hooks and you want them to swim naturally over the weeds or in shallow water. If you start using that heavy stuff, they just drag down in the weeds and you're constantly working them. But nice light hooks, smaller hooks, wire. The lake's dirty, so wire is a great bet right now. Okay. Sometimes the lake gets really clear and I'll use fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
So I'll use 80-pound fluorocarbon. I've never had one break off in the water, but I've had them break in the net.
Okay. When
the hooks get caught in the net, the fish starts really yanking. I've had one break in the net. So not that fluorocarbons can't break, but, you definitely don't want to run super heavy equipment either.
No.
Springtime's just a different thing. It's like say you're going with red-tailed chubs.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use the same setup you'd use for your big suckers in fall.
No.
It's kind of along the same lines. Just downsize a little bit. Don't walleye fish, but, just downsize, use smaller, sharper hooks. Sharp and thin goes way in. Big, thick, and heavy, you got to really lay it to them, And
yeah.
I'm not one for really laying it to them because I don't want to bring them up with broken jaws and hooks all over the eyes and ripped lips and all that.
So with this, it's more of you're not really going out and sucker fishing like how they do in the fall.
Yeah, it's basically, all you're doing is you're running a small live bait rig close to the boat, so when the fish come in and they follow in, they'll either hammer your live bait or your lure. Either one, you got extra. I mean, how many times you'll look down and look at the sucker and there'll be a 38 or a 40-incher following behind it, and you're sitting there waiting and watching and tapping on the trolling motor and keeping it moving just a little bit. And a lot of times they don't eat it, but that's spring.
Yep.
Springtime you may get 5, 6, 7 fouls without a hit. Just the way it is.
It's different.
That's where that erratic... Yeah, that's where the erratic comes in, Then we talked about minnow baits.
Yep.
The other thing is glide baits. You got refogs and undertakers. Them are two of my mainstays just because I got a ton of them and been using them forever. There's tons of good glide baits out. I'm not, saying any other glide baits won't work. By no means. I'm just saying them are my two that I've used the most. I can get those two. What's that?
You have high confidence in those baits, so why would you switch it up?
Well, that's the key too. I mean, if you fish confident, you're a better fisherman.
Yep.
You know, a lot of guys are like, I don't need a guide or whatever. I can't tell how many people get out of my boat and go, I'm blown away. I mean, just the whole time we're fishing, we're talking about, I learned more today than I've learned in, how long fishing yourself. The cool thing fishing with a lot of different people, you get different views and learn different stuff. And I don't care who you are, anybody can learn anything from somebody else.
Very true.
Because everybody fishes a little different. And the cool thing is you take maybe what you learned from someone else and then you adapt it to what you do and you become better for it.
Excuse me. No, very true. And that's
right.
I've learned so much already just from the first few Musky Inc. meetings and just talking with people. It's like, oh, you do that? Well, I do this. I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yep. And with the Muskies Inc. Club, our club is probably the best it's been at sharing info in the last couple years.
It really is.
We can sit down and, I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I have, guys that are emailing and texting me now, I'm like, what's going on opening weekend? What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know back. These guys have been in my boat, and I just, I help them out. And you know what? They're thankful for it. You're better, and we're just one big happy family of musky fishermen. We all let them go. We all care about the resource. We all want to catch fish, and we all want to see them swim away. So, you know what? The old school logic, like they can figure it out themselves. That's kind of going by the wayside because the better people get at it,
mm-hmm.
the more apt they are to share, and and it just makes it better for everybody.
It does. It really does. And I appreciate that from, that last seminar with Joel. You guys were handing out spots left and right. I'm like, oh, all right, let me bust out the notepad right quick, write that one down.
I can tell you right now, Joel spoke with 100% honesty. He laid it on the table. I know where Joel fishes. I see him out there all the time. I know what he does. He laid it on the table. He poured his heart out, man. I really respect him for that. And I told him that. I said, that was really good what you did. I go, I know, some of the stuff that's your bread and butter, and you laid it out for everybody. I said, that was really cool. And that's what clubs are for. We all share. You look at some of these Musky First outings and stuff. We sit down, write up maps, and market it wherever you caught fish and what on. Everybody that's in the group can see it, and we all share it.
Mm-hmm.
Vermilion Dam Lodge, I see they do the same thing. And, the world of musky fishing, we're getting better and better, and people are getting better and better, and we're sharing more, and we're learning more. But these darn fish, they still are hard to catch. You can't make them open their mouth. You can make them curious and follow, but to get them to open that mouth and eat, that, and sometimes and they're not getting easier to catch.
No.
The more we educate these things, and even with all our electronics and trolling motors and maps and GPSs and everything, you still got to catch them. You can see them, you can be on them, but you still got to catch them.
You do.
So back to the live bait thing, very, very good. Definitely should use live bait at least for the first couple weeks of the season. I use it at least the first 3 weeks. Well, the second weekend is the Pewaukee Classic. That's no live bait.
Yep.
So I'll fish that, and we won't. But definitely if you're out there and you're not hanging a sucker over the side or on a slip bobber off the back,
you're missing out.
You're definitely missing out. You definitely are. Because the odds of you catching a fish doing it are pretty good.
Well, I'm going to keep that in mind for this Saturday. Now, let's move on over to the walleyes. The walleyes in Pewaukee.
Sure.
So, first we got a question from Adam. Hey, Mike, off topic. What's the walleye limit on Pewaukee now? Size and bag limit? A lot of guys will get walleyes on smaller musky baits early in the year. So what is the regs out there on Pewaukee for walleyes right now?
Okay, what they did, Ben went to an 18-inch free walleye limit. Okay, they have what they call their tackle box. 1/28, 3/18, or 5/15. So you got to pick one of them three. Now, Wisconsin River and some of these other areas, they got their things. So right now, Lake LaBelle is 1/28, and Pewaukee is 3/18. The northern limit on Pewaukee Lake is 32.
Oh, they changed that?
We don't know that they changed that too. Okay. What they're trying to do is they're trying to beef up the predators at Pewaukee because we got such a stunted population of panfish, tons of perch. overabundance of crappies, bluegills everywhere. The sunfish are huge right now, just growing. That's probably the biggest panfish besides, the crappies are getting pretty big. But, I mean, if you want to get like bluegills, pumpkin seeds, they're huge right now. Okay. But what we need is these smaller fish to get ate up. Well, that's why we started this walleye thing. Now we got, walleyes over 15 inches are diminishing. We don't have a lot of them between 15 and, say, 25. We got some males that are in the 22 to 24-inch range, but basically we're running out of our mature walleyes, and we started this walleyes for tomorrow just in time because every year we're getting less and less and less, and we haven't filled the hatchery the last 2 years. Well, so there's not enough stock in the lake to fill it because these fish come in, they spawn, and they're done. Yeah. And so we hit it hard from right at pre-spawn all the way through the spawn to post-spawn to the point where we're checking 8 nets and we're only getting maybe 1 female and 50 males. Mm-hmm. And then, once you start getting all spawned out females, it's done. It's over. So everything's released. We got $3.3 million in the lake. We had a great season. We had a really good hatch rate this year. Everything went great. Awesome. The only thing we can complain about is we could have used some more of them 27, 28, 29-inch walleyes. We barely got any at 27 and 28, or 28 and 29s this year. Well, I don't know where they're going. Are they dying off?
You took us down to the walleye shack. That was awesome. And you kind of, told us that these next couple of years might be a little bit harder for you to get some of the bigger females that you're looking at.
It'll be harder. Yeah, it'll be harder for us because we just don't have the amount of walleyes to take the eggs out of. But you got a window of about 5 days. Okay. Depending on the weather. Sometimes, if remember we had a good warm up back a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Well, what happened was we had maybe 15 little males and 1 green female in the net, and then the next day maybe we'd have 2 green females and 30 little walleyes in the net, and then the next day we had 81 walleyes in the net with probably 22 females. Well, that's what happens. When it's ripe and you get that warm-up, they come pouring in. And then after that, we struggled every day. We filled 3 full jars, and then it took us 2 days, each consecutive 2-day periods, to fill a jar. Well, it's
but like you said, after this 2-year lull that you discussed.
Oh, then we're just balls to the walls.
Game on for
yeah, because right now with processing, I probably process, by process I mean measure, take a little clip of the very top dorsal fin, the very first spline of the dorsal fin. The first year we catch it, we nip that off. Just not all in the bottom, but just you'll notice it. If you look at it, you'll notice it's a little shorter than it should be. The second time we catch the walleye, we'll go to the next spline and we'll raise up a little bit and snip a little of that off. So it stair steps it so it doesn't look ugly. Yeah. But if you really look at it, you can see it's been clipped twice. The best one we had a 23 and 3/4 inch female that we've caught 4 years in a row. Wow. The same female. The biggest one was 31, and we caught her last year at 30 and a half. And there was another one that was 30 and a half last year that we caught. We didn't see her this year, but I think I know where she is. I just want to confirm that she has that fin clip when they do take her to the taxidermist. Mm-hmm. So someone caught her, and hey, all the power to you. If you get a 30-incher, by all means, mount it. I mean, we don't even take the eggs on them when they're that big. Yep. They don't. Anything over 27 inches, the survival rate is not as good.
So if you could tell something to the listeners right now, like if for people who are actually going to go fish, walleye fish Pewaukee, I think you were discussing about we need some of these more size females. If you just want to preach about that size, that hey, if you get this female, let it go. We need it for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we can preach all we want, and realistically, if you get a female out of Pewaukee, she's going to be 25 to 30 inches. I mean, she's going to be a good-sized fish. Either you're going to mount it or you're going to release it. You don't eat a 25-incher. You can put a Lake Erie for that, or maybe Green Bay for that. I mean, there's tons of them. We just need these fish for another couple years. Now, the males, I went through 183 males one day. Went through in a table that I was doing all the measuring on.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's like I dumped a gallon of milk on it. So all these 12-inch to 14.5-inch males, they're ready.
Yep.
Okay, so we're good. The only thing we're not seeing is we have not seen any small females yet. Now, once they start, hopefully next year they'll show up, and the year after they're going to show up more in force because they're not coming in, the females, the little females. Now, you can't tell me all these males that we got. There's got to be at least 1/3 of them that are females, but why aren't we seeing them? Why aren't they coming into the net? So biologically, they don't come in apparently until they're ready to spawn. Maybe they mature a little later. I don't really know the specifics with that. I know what we see, so I guess we're hoping next year and the year after, if they start showing up, then we're golden. I mean, we're set. I mean, Pewaukee will be, mark my words, will be the best walleye fishing lake. It'll be Delavan and everything else because that lake, I mean, we got a lot of people that really care, and we're working our butt off to make all these walleyes come back, and they're all over the place. I mean, they're everywhere, all over the lake. So it's working. We got to work, It'd be nice if we get some more members to do hands-on. Guys are always like, I'd love to do that. Come on down. It's $25 for a year membership. You can be on the boats pulling these fish out. You could be right there where we're taking the eggs out. You could be right there, watching the hatchery and cleaning filters and checking it all out. Bring your family, your friends. We want everyone to see this. This isn't just about us. No. This is about Pewaukee Lake and the people that care about it.
And
so it's
earlier, this we kind of have a little bit of a system going with Pewaukee being for your food and Lac La Belle for your trophy. I discussed
for your trophies, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And you do think that size limit is actually going to work, and there's going to be giants out there.
I really do. I mean, you look at it this way: if I'm going to go if I got a client that wants to catch a 25-inch walleye or better, well, he'd probably go to Green Bay. But say he lives around here and he wants to fish local, in a couple of years, I'm going right to La Belle. Mm-hmm. Talking to Ben, what happens is they get the 20 inches on La Belle, and then they're gone. I mean, when they fight that and they shock out there, he says, Mike, they get to like 19 3/4, and then you don't see any more. Yep. Because you don't see a lot of the big ones, and the only way that can happen is angler harvest. Yes. And it's really, there's no other explanation for it. And La Belle doesn't get hit that hard, and, I love the lake. It's an awesome lake. It just doesn't have the cover. It's easy to fish because you just go find the weeds. Yeah. There's not many spots that are really weedy. And Pewaukee's loaded with weeds. And the other thing I was going to mention, this year, with the lack of weeds, the weeds are way down. It was this winter, I mean, you had to really look for the weeds ice fishing to find the fish. But you think about it, you take 1/3 of the weeds out of the lake, where the fish going to go? They're going to go in the other 2/3 in the weeds. So now you got more fish stacked up in areas, and it's going to be really good. That kind of goes into my thinking when I'm saying opening weekend's going to be a good weekend for us this weekend. And we're really going to, I really think this year, hopefully we won't have to quit fishing in July like we always do from the 80-degree weather or the water temps. The hardest thing to do, you're out there catching 4, 5, 6 fish days for half days for clients, and it's rocking. You're having a blast. It's easy fishing. Everybody's happy. And then all of a sudden, you get that another 90-some degree day, and the water temp's peaking into the 80s, and it's like, no.
It's just when you go up north, Mike. You just got to go up north a little bit.
Right. I know. Well, it's warm up there, too. True. The guys up north, they're complaining. It's like, guys go from down there, they come up here, and they bang them up here because they're on vacation, and, it's 80 degrees up there in some of the waters, It's a lot of the guys up there I talk to, and we talk a lot about it and what's going on and when to pull a pin, and, you watch the Class Act guys, they pull a pin, they call their clients, and I call people and tell them it's water release only. Or, I'm not even talking pictures. If you want to take a picture of it in the water, that's fine, but the fish doesn't get touched. Mm-hmm. That's like right at 80, and then if it jumps into 81, 82, you can't even just leave them alone. It's not. It isn't worth it. I mean, you can catch a fish and it'd be fine. You can let it go; it could be fine. You catch another one, it'd be fine. And then out of the blue, you got a 42-incher that won't release. It goes belly up. Now you're sick to your stomach.
Yes, sir.
You don't even want to tell anyone it just happened, but that's what happens. I see it. You know, someone got one that was 53 inches last year. Got it on a dog. It was right at the end. Everything was fine. Fish was released right away. A couple pictures. I know who caught it, and I know who watched it, and I know who took pictures. Great release, everything good. The fish was dead 2 days later. You know, and it is what it is. You know, it's too hard on them. It's like you and me running around the house 3 times and then jumping in the sauna to catch your breath.
No,
you can't do it.
I don't want to do
it. You know.
So
sit down and have a beer.
So, Mike, before I let you go, I'm going to be doing a new thing. I got it from Jim Komar. He's told me to do this one. So.
Uh-oh. What did Jimmy talk you into? What do we got?
So, before everyone goes on the show, they got to tell me the funniest story about what they've ever seen at a boat launch. The funniest incident you ever seen at a boat launch.
In a boat launch?
Yeah.
Boy, nothing really stands out. I mean, Jimmy's seen a whole bunch. Joel, too. Anyone that works at Smokies. Yeah. I mean, I'm at the boat launch. I'm in and out. I mean, I've had stuff where, you know, arguments with people, you know, where I'm waiting to get in and someone's trying to get it on the trailer. The wife can't get the trailer in right, you know, one thing after another. And then I finally said, would you mind if I backed it up for you? And the guy goes, he ain't driving my truck. So I just stepped back and leaned against my truck, and I watched him bitch at his wife back and forth. Finally, he got it out and pulled it out right where everyone needs to be. Uh-huh. And I asked him, I said, can you pull it up a little bit so I can get in? He goes, I'll pull it up when I'm good and ready. Oh. And he got Illinois plates, nothing against Illinois, but Illinois plates, and I said, all right, fine. So I actually drove around the guy, got around the wall, jackknifed my truck, got the boat in the water, went over, and the boat kind of drifted. It was a nice west wind, so it just drifted over to the pier. As I drove my truck over and parked it, now mind you, I didn't touch my boat. It's still in the water. Yeah. And it's drifted against the pier, so I mean, I do it all the time. It's easy to do. I come walking out of the pier, I step in my boat, and I start backing it out, and the lady goes, why can't you be more like him? Look how easy it was for him. And I looked at her and I said, you're a smart woman. I said, too bad you got to put up with him. And the guy just went off on me. Oh. I mean, just letting her rip. And I told the guy, I said, really, pal? I said, get it out on me. I don't mind. Better than beating your wife on the way home or whatever. I said, she took enough of your crap. You know, so it's like, you know, people that are learning to put stuff in, be patient with them. Yes. Don't be afraid to say, hey, can I give you a hand backing that in? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, just stick it in just so the fenders are right at the water level. That's usually the starting point. Yeah. Usually you go in a little bit more or you go in a little less, you know. Always try to be courteous. Try to be the nice guy at the launch because, you know, once someone's fired up, it don't take much. It does. No. You know, and I told the guy when I was leaving, I said, and when I told her, you know, I complimented her on being so calm about it, and I said, as for you, have a rotten day. You know, and he just started bombing me, and I just tipped my hat and just laughed, driving away. You know, he had to be madder than a hornet, guaranteed.
I bet.
You know, and I didn't want to piss him off anymore because his wife was already taking the grunt of all the complaining because you know damn well all the way home, if you'd have just backed it in, if you did it, well, you know what? If you wouldn't have pressured her so much, she probably could have learned it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And
appreciate the time. Good luck, everyone. You know, anybody that hasn't fished the York and they're gonna, drop me an email. I don't mind pointing you in the right direction. Or stop at Smokey's Musky Shop. All the boys there are really good. They'd be happy. We got maps that we hand out, little photocopy single-page ones. Mm-hmm. Mark a few spots, you know, at least you can go out there and hit it. Yeah. Ask them at the shop, what's the hot baits? The guys there are all real good guys. They're not going to lead you wrong. They're not going to, you know, push this bait to that bait. If they're telling you, it's probably a reason.
Yeah.
So all of us, we all want people to enjoy themselves, have fun. The more fun you have, the nicer you are to everybody else.
True.
So
very true.
Want everyone to have a great opening weekend.
Thank you.
Enjoy the show. I'll see you Saturday, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, bud.
All right.
We'll talk to you
later,
soon.
Mike. Bye.
All right. Bye now.
All right, so that was Mike. That was a funny story. All right, so next up on the list, let me change the. We got Jonathan Best coming up, and he's going to be able to explain everything what he's doing better than I'm going to. So he's gonna lead the way. Let me get him on the old phone. Sorry if my keyboard is too loud. It's ringing, you guys. Will he answer?
Hello?
Oh, Jonathan, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just got done with Mike, and now you're up.
Good, yeah. I've been listening to that boat launch story. I have been there and seen that.
Well, start thinking about what one you're going to tell at the end of the show.
Yeah, I'm going to try and multitask in my head.
So, first off, I just want to explain to the guys how I kind of ran into you, quote unquote. Obviously, there was a page on or a topic or post, whatever, a post on the Flea, top 3 baits with your biggest. Top 3 muskies and the baits you caught them on. Okay, and then a few days later I saw you post. I'm like, whoa, what the? Okay. You posted if you want to kind of, explain what you kind of posted on the Flea after that with all the information.
Sure, yeah, no problem. So I thought it was an interesting topic. A lot of people seemed engaged with it because we've all got musky fever. None of us can really go fishing for them yet. Yeah. And everybody's posting up their big fish and the lures they caught them on, and I thought, and actually somebody else posted. I can't remember who it is. I have to go back through, but somebody said, "Boy, it'd be really cool if somebody put all of this data together and charted it." Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I can do that. That's what I do. I'm a software engineer, web developer. So I figured, all right, well, let's give this a shot. And so I started going through and unfortunately, I just had to manually enter everything by hand, which wasn't super fun. But I came up with an interesting graph that I think it was definitely interesting. It's a very incomplete data set, but I'm actually going to post up the link right now. So if anybody's listening and interested in taking a look at it, it's in the comment feed there, so you guys can go take a look at what we came up with. But it was really interesting to see what the average big fish was and what the lures caught were. I think it was pretty obvious that bucktails beat everything else, and it begs a lot of questions. Is that just because people throw bucktails more than any other lure? There was the big. Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, I'll say for sure a bucktail is my confidence bait, so that's what I throw a lot. And so, that bait's getting more time in the water in my boat than any other bait. So there's that. I think a lot of people throw bucktails more than other lures. And then there was the double 10 craze where when people realized that cowgirls caught fish, everybody was throwing cowgirls, and that was by far the most popular lure on the chart. I put it down as double 10s on the chart, but when I was actually going through the data manually, just a ton of people mentioned cowgirls, double cowgirl, supermodels, showgirls, basically double 8s, double 9s, double 10s, double 12s. Just between those different kinds of bucktails, they just caught a lot of big fish. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting that there weren't a lot of the big hyped lures that you hear about a lot, where people are throwing, $100, $200 around for a sweet lure. And nothing against those lures. I know guys catch big fish on them, and they're beautiful lures. But you just didn't see a lot of them in the data that I got back.
Interesting.
So I think, I mean, if you're going by the numbers, and it's funny, I was just looking at some data today to kind of prep for our conversation and talk the nerdier side of musky fishing, I guess. You know, I was looking at a lake that I like to fish here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and I was getting data from the Musky zinc logs, which we can probably talk about a little bit later. I think that's a good topic for people to know about. But I was looking at that on a particular lake, and out of the top 26.
Would you mind sharing the lake, or is that a little covert operation you got over there?
I wouldn't say it's covert. I would say people that know the lake, but I don't try and give it too much shine.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because. So there's only so many musky lakes in the Twin Cities, so you'll find it eventually if you're trying hard enough. But anyways, so out of the top 26 largest fish caught in this lake over the course of, I don't know what it was, 15 years, let's say. And this is, of course, only people that entered data, so I'm sure there's a ton of data out there that we'll never know. But half of those big fish were caught on bucktails.
Okay.
So once again, here you have it. Bucktails are catching half of the big fish in a lake. And probably way more if I look through the entire log. There's about 300 fish logged on that lake.
Like you said, the fish that haven't been registered on, the log.
Right, exactly. And so really what it comes down to for me, I mean, a lot of people throw a bucktail as a confidence lure, and, long story short, there's a reason. People catch fish on bucktails. There's ebbs and flows to that. Last year was a terrible year for me on bucktails. My best producing lures were dive and rise lures. So, I mean, it changes all the time, and I think as a fisherman you have to have a lot of tools in your toolbox. But I do think data can go a long ways, and it helps build a little bit of confidence. If you're in a slump throwing a bucktail, let's say, and wondering if you're crazy. No, you're not crazy. You're just muffy fishing.
So maybe you are a little bit crazy.
Well, yeah, you have to have a tick of crazy to do this. So. But yeah, that's go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, so your whole thing, and the reason why I wanted you on this show, because it's an aspect of fishing that I am interested in, and maybe I know others will be, maybe if they're just shown what to look for or where to get the information or stuff like that. So, and
go ahead.
You guys are putting together an app, right?
Yeah. So first, I'll finish up some thoughts on the Muskie's data, because I think largely speaking, muskie fishing data is a very untapped source. I think there's actually a lot of data that's been recorded, and I don't even think that we've tapped into the potential of what that data could give us. So I'm working with some people now here in my local chapter to see what we can do, what we can put together to work with that data. I'm a part of a Musky Zinc chapter, but I'm not on the board or anything, so I don't have any ulterior motives to promote Musky Zinc, but what I will say is it is a good organization.
Yeah.
And if you do become a member, you get access to a monumental amount of data. They have 330,000 fish logged in their database that you can have access to just by becoming a member. So for me, if I wasn't a member and somebody told me that just as a data guy and somebody that likes to understand those things, I think it's worth it right there. I think having that much access to understand trends on lakes. You and I were talking about a lake that you like to fish, and that you had some gut feelings about it that you thought maybe data could say for you. And I think a lot of people are probably in the same boat where conventional knowledge will say, fish before the front pushes through, like fish when the storm's pushing through, or just give up when it's a bluebird day and it's a high pressure system and the barometer is over 30 inches. But anybody who puts a ton of water on lakes has little secrets, right? Has little things that they figured out on their own. And I think if you looked at data and you kept a good log for yourself and you had access to other people's data, it would really confirm some of that stuff. And I think while we all earn our own little stripes in this musky fishing game, I also think it's good to help other people out because it is tough. Like, I've got a lot of friends that are trying to catch their first muskie right now, and I just think it's important to help those folks out because it's a long journey, and it's about the journey, right? It's about getting to that first fish, not the first fish. And, like, I haven't caught a 50 yet, and it's about getting to the journey to that for me. Like, what is that going to take and all that stuff. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of my interest with data. It's helping people understand what they need to do to catch a different sized fish or a different type of fish, whatever the case may be. So very interesting. I think it's good.
Okay. So if you want to talk about
but you had brought... Yeah, we can. I'd love to talk about the app. So what we've been developing, so kind of a elevator pitch about who we is and what I'm talking about. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started playing with an idea called Musky Addicts. And the inception of the idea was to try and centralize some information, again, for people that are coming to the musky fishing sport that don't know anything about it. I had a number of people that were interested in musky fishing, and they just wanted to know, hey, where can I go to learn about musky fishing? And I found it really hard to communicate with them about where to go. I was like, okay, well, you can go to Muskies First for forums and people and some stuff over there, and then you could go to Lake Link if you want to get some fishing reports, and maybe you can get access to some maps and things like that. And I was like, well, then you can go around Facebook and get on all these groups. And then I just realized, I was like, man, this is really hard to explain to somebody how to get into this and how to just read some basic articles and how to do these things. And there's a lot of resources, and I do realize that, so I'm not trying to take away from anything anybody's done. But it just seemed really hard to tell somebody what to do. And so that was the idea that started Musky Addicts. And so what we did is we compiled a database of lakes across the country that have muskies in it. So I think we've got 24, 25 states and a couple of the Canadian provinces with all the lake data in there, so that a person that's new to musky fishing can look at their state or the state nearby them to see, is there any muskies nearby me? What lakes are they in? How big is the lake? And then we actually hooked it up to the Navionics API. So when you went to a lake, you could actually see the topographical map and interact with that, see the different lake structures and things like that. And so that's an ongoing project for us. But what that really showed us, or what we kind of came into, was how cool would it be to fish against other guys on the same lake or a patch of lakes in one state or across multiple states, and they're all fishing for the same thing. And that's really where it took off for us. That's what we got really excited about. And that's where Fishing Clash came in. So that's kind of what we're talking about now is Fishing Clash. And we're going to be launching that this year. This first year, we're mainly qualifying Minnesota. It's going to be a state-by-state basis on how we open it up. There's different laws, different rules and regulations for every state as far as how fishing tournaments can go. And if you need a license and registration specifically for that tournament, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of legal work involved there.
Okay.
But anyway, so we're starting with Minnesota, and basically what it is you can get 10 guys or girls together, 20 guys or girls together, and fish on one lake or fish on a couple lakes, and basically winner takes all. You could do it for free. You can set up a buy-in of $5, $10, $15, and then there's processing fees for that on our side, just to make sure that all the bells and whistles work, that the servers stay up, all the things, keep the lights on so that the application works. But yeah, we've built a whole system for it. It's all real time. There's a lot of checks and balances in place, so we want to be as close to perfect as we can to just make sure that people are being honest about their fish. Unfortunately, there's been a couple people getting a lot of shine in the Musky community lately about being dishonest and, catching a 42-incher and saying it's 57 inches, stuff like that. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, they all know.
But, But we don't want that. We want to really discourage that. And more than anything, it should be fun. So to us, this was just a kind of a way to make fishing fun. I thought of it when I was playing FanDuel with some friends. And I was like, well, wait a second. Why can't we do this for fishing? What if I was going up north and I wanted to fish against some of my buddies and we just all put wagers on it?
Okay.
I was like, well, let's try it. So we've been building it ever since.
I like that. That's pretty sweet. So are you going to be going back to the Musky's Addicts thing?
Yeah. Yes, we absolutely are. Yeah, so that's always the fun thing is we've got so many projects going on right now that it's just hard to balance it. There's only so many of us that are hammering the code out. So as Fishing Clash matures this year and we test it out in Minnesota, our big goals are Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan.
Perfect.
We don't have time frames for any of those states yet.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Wisconsin we want to do next year. It's our neighbor. I've done a lot of fishing in Wisconsin. The laws there are actually really similar to Minnesota, so it should fit in pretty well with what we're doing. But yeah, that's our goal. And then what we want to do with Musky Addicts is a big revamp. And one of the things with Musky Addicts that we really want is to find a lot of community folks that want to get involved with it. And whether it's writing articles or providing different data points that we can work on, we're going to start working with providing interesting data charts for our chapter here in the Twin Cities to evaluate how our chapter's done over the last years and what the data trends are, where people are catching fish, where the fish are disappearing, what people are catching fish on, really getting into the nitty-gritty of it. I thought it was really interesting, actually. I did a data poll for the local chapter here, and the catch rate over the last 5 years has gone down like 40%.
Yep, you were talking about that, which is crazy.
And it's weird.
And I think
I don't get it.
Did we do Pewaukee too? Did we look at that?
We looked at a couple things on Pewaukee, or I think what we did is we looked at the Milwaukee chapter of Musky's Inc. over there.
Yep.
And there were some dramatic catch rate differences over the years too. Like it went down like 150, 200 fish in 1 or 2 years or something like that. And so that just makes me curious. Is it that people are actually catching less fish? Are people not using the lunge log anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm very curious. I want to know what's going on. I want to help the Musky scene, so to speak, the best that I can. Because I'm not going to stop doing this anytime soon. This is something that's kind of like my life's passion, So it's what I do.
So I am going to, don't mind my loud ass keyboard, going to pull up the old Musky's Inc. website and show the guys where they can find the lunge log, and if you want to kind of just talk about what it is and how powerful of a tool this is.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you going to be able to actually do a screen share there?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, awesome. I'm watching. I'm just looking to see if it's going to pop up on the screen or whatever the case may be. But
a little bit of delay, I believe.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Yeah. Cool. Definitely, this is such a good tool, and I thought it was really interesting. It seems like the best way to break things down that I've found so far is by chapter. Mm-hmm. And so currently I've been breaking down lakes that I like to fish by the chapter that I'm in, and then what I'm going to have to do is subsequently go back and break them down by other chapters that probably fish that lake a lot. So like one of the lakes that I'm focusing a lot this year is Mille Lacs. There's a lot of big fish in that lake, and my goal is to catch some of them. So I'm doing a lot of research on when those fish were caught. And again, it's the lunge log is an honesty system right now, so I have to trust the data that I've got, which there's been a lot of conversations about that too. So, yeah, I'm not going to go anywhere with that because there's nowhere to go at the moment. But anyways, I'm going to be looking at all the data for Mille Lacs and really breaking down when a fish was caught, what the fish was caught on, the colors that it was caught on, was it overcast. Some data points that are missing that I think if you're really interested in strong data, barometer is huge.
Yes.
It's something that I've seen play a major factor in my fishing over the years. I still have a lot of years to fish. I'm a younger guy, but I've noticed it, especially if you keep track of it. If you do any kind of logging systems at all, your data is going to tell you that there are certain barometric trends that you're just going to see an uptick in activity, and you should be on the water if you can.
So I just pulled up Mille Lacs, and consistent data since 1992. There's one post from 1980 and one from 1979. But you go there, and it tells you the length, it tells you the lure, color, presentation, depth. You can go to the most current catch, which happened 11/15/2016. We can actually click on each fish that was caught. It will tell who caught it, where, what color, wind direction, state, lake bottom structure, all that stuff. Like you said, there are a couple data points that hopefully can possibly get included, such as barometric pressure. But that hopefully you're going to be able to maybe do something about that.
Yeah, I think I don't know how to communicate this correctly, but we did create a logging system on Musky Addicts, and basically it was a real-time logging system.
Okay.
So when you would create a log and you were on the water, it was going to use weather outlets that were nearby to grab all that data for you real-time. It was going to get your location on the lake.
Now, is this for your own personal use, or is this going to be shared to public?
So the way that we built it was that it was private to your user, and you could choose other users to share it with. So we created a concept of teams, where as you created logs, it was all private to you, but if you had a buddy that was going to fish that lake, you could share your data with him, and he could see your logs on that lake.
And then with each capture of fish, it would show position on the lake and weather variables, correct?
Yep, exactly. It was a real-time situation, so while you're on the lake, you plug in a log, and then it got the latitude and longitude, plus or minus so many degrees just because of GPS failure. Anybody that works with GPS knows it's not 100% accurate, which as a fisherman is a little bit unfortunate because we have tiny little spots sometimes, but got to get close enough anyways. But one of the things that we built with it that we really liked was that it wasn't just about catching fish. It was also about if you lost a fish or if you had a follow, you could categorize it by that, and then you could filter your data again to say, okay, where were all my follows on Lake Pewaukee? And you could see all your data points on that lake of where you had entered follows, and you could try and find a data trend. You could say, okay, well, the barometer was here, the weather was doing this, and then if you compare that to fish that you catch, maybe there's some differences, right? And you can try and draw those lines to say, well, what's making me successful, and what can I learn from the data that I've collected? So again, that's a work in progress. Right now we've got Musky Addicts down as we're doing some revamped work on it.
Yeah, as I found out
we do want to get it back up.
What happened? Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's down for the moment. We're going to get it back up. There's some work in progress on that one too, and we didn't want to get caught with our pants down, so to speak.
No.
Yeah, so that's down for the moment. We hope to get that up either this season, for sure the following season, and really the conversations that I want to start having is with some folks in Musky's Inc. to see if there could be some revamp work done with the log system. I know it's a complicated conversation to have, and I'm not trying to tell anybody they're wrong or anything like that. I'm just willing to help. I'm just trying to make it better for everybody. And I mean, I guess because I have the skill set to do it, I guess that's why I'm passionate about it. But yeah, that's what Musky Addicts does. That's what Fishing Clash is about. And yeah, we're not planning to stop anytime soon. That's for sure.
So I got your email up there. Obviously, if there's any people in the tech field that also love the musky fish, like you said, you're looking for help. I'm pretty sure they send you an email and chit chat with you and see what happens.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to hear from anybody that wants to help, whether it's just get the word out or help test the application. We're going to be doing testing in Minnesota this year. If we have some people that are interested in doing some undercover testing in Wisconsin, we might open a couple lakes for qualification.
Okay.
To test it for Fishing Clash on that as well. So, Mike, I'm sure you and me will be in contact on that.
If you want, I think it's on Lunge Log, it's the 4th highest registered fish lake in.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's.
Wow.
We register a lot of fish on that lake.
That's incredible.
But so I'm looking forward, and obviously that's going to be like mobile accessible, that application. It's not just going to be a website, correct, for Fishing Class and
correct.
Or Musky Addicts?
Yep. So that's part of the fun time developing, is that we're trying to build web applications or websites along with native applications. And so it takes a lot of time. It's kind of building 3 things at once, which is it's just hard. I don't know how else to say it. It's been really difficult. But yeah.
Okay.
You're supposed to ask me if I'm affiliated with the St. Cloud chapter.
Yes.
I'm not affiliated with the St. Cloud chapter. I am affiliated with the Twin Cities chapter, which I believe is chapter number 1. I can't remember for sure, but.
Okay. So that's a no, Mike. He's not. So, with all this going on, obviously, is there a Facebook page we could follow that we can keep up on updates or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Musky Addicts is a pretty healthy Facebook page. We try and get things out there whenever we can, trying to keep it active. Fishing Clash just got opened recently. So for sure, people can go over there, take a look at it. We're probably going to be running some private test tournaments here in May. So if anybody in Minnesota is interested in getting into a pike tournament or a smallmouth bass tournament, can't tell you that it's going to be worth any kind of money, but you'll be able to try out some new technology and give us feedback and let us know how it goes, because we're really trying to get it ramped up for the musky fishing season. We've got tournaments here in Minnesota in June, July, September, and October. October is going to be kind of like the grand finale, and that'll be on Lake Mille Lacs and prime time to catch a giant.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a really busy year, but also we're excited, and we're linked up with some good people. The guys over at Musky Freak, if you know who they are, have been really supportive. And they're helping us along with the tournaments and promotions and things like that. So they're also good guys to check out. Huge network of bait makers. I know you got TNA on here a lot. TNA is a part of Musky Freak, so I'm sure people have heard the name before.
I think a couple people have heard about the Angry Dragon. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, maybe. I might have been throwing it last weekend.
All right, so there's the pages to follow to look for updates and everything. Again, John B. at muskyaddicts.com. Email him if you want to help volunteer for anything, or I don't know what tech people do, code and shit like that. But
yep, you got it.
Before I send you off, funniest story that happened at a boat launch. What is it?
Oh man, funniest story. I've been trying to think about it while we're talking. I've definitely heard a lot of the crazy stuff like Mike was saying, where you got a kind of roid rage guy yelling at his wife like a big man.
Yeah.
But I can't copy him because he already put that one down, and his story was pretty dang good.
Fair enough.
But I have seen somebody that I don't know what was going on. I don't know if they're having a bad day. I hate to judge. But they had a roller trailer, and they were having a heck of a time getting their boat up on there, and they tried to power load it, and they put way too much into it, and they just drove it right into the back of their SUV window, and the window went out, and it was a sight to be seen. It was a long day at the launch for some folks,
I
but
guess so.
yeah.
Wow. I haven't seen anything like that yet. No.
Yeah,
There's
it's a little scary.
There's a little party at the Smokies. It's a bait store on Pewaukee, and they had a little party this past weekend. And in the end, the guy sunk 2 boats on the boat launch, forgot their drain plugs, and rear-ended a truck in about 15 minutes, and it's not even opener yet.
What? It wasn't the same guy, was it? That's insane. That you got to get a medal for that.
The 2 guys pulled up in trucks, and I don't know, the guy launched both boats and forgot.
No.
And I swear to God, and rear-ended another truck in the parking lot. So.
Oh, that's one way to start your year off. It can't. Yeah. I would say it can't get any worse, but it could.
It could.
Mille Lacs sunk my boat last year, so I can attest that. Yeah, it can get bad.
Well, John, thanks for everything, man, and I'm really looking forward to these 2 applications, and thanks for coming on and showing that, there's other sides to the musky world rather than guides and bait makers and fishermen. That's the main reason I wanted you on here, because it's a whole other aspect about something that I'd love to look at and, futz around with, is data for muskies. So, thank you very much for coming on, and you guys reach out to him if you have any, want to volunteer for anything.
All right. Well, thanks again for having me on, Colin. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. We'll be in touch.
All right, for sure.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right, guys. So that was John. So yeah. Webcam looks shitty. Yeah, you missed it, Adam. So that's it for this week. Next week is the season for Southern Opener. So hopefully we can get some fishing reports from some people. I don't know who's going to be on just yet. If anyone out there, feels like they want to come on and talk about something, shoot me a message. Let's do it. I just randomly asked people to see if they want to come on and talk about something. They said yeah. So I'm not really running out of options since it's next week is week 4. But if you have something cool to talk about, cool fishing experience, a cool bait coming out, I love my Black Ops bait, secrets in the works, shoot me a message. We'll get you on here. So with that being said, for you Southern Wisconsin people, hope you guys have a good opener. There will be some fish caught and everything. Yeah, let's talk about Hayward. I'm down. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And I will be seeing you next week, Monday, at 7 p.m. for Everything Slime in Prime Time. Adios, mi amigos.